I'm going to read a book to you today called Milo and the Magical Stones. This book has two different endings. See which one you like best. In the middle of the sea, there was an island, and on this island lived Milo and the other cliff mice. They loved their island. It provided them with food and shelter and protection from the rough storms that pounded waves against the cliffs. During the summer, Milo and his friends worked hard gathering food, and sometimes they would take a break from their work and skip flat stones out over the sea. In the evening, the mice would stretch out on the cliffs that had been warmed by the sun and watch the stars in the night sky. If it was warm enough, they would spend the entire night outside telling stories and enjoying the mild summer air. But when the first winter storms arrived, the mice would spend most of their time huddled in their dark, damp caves, dreaming of light and warmth. After one of these storms, Milo crept out of his cave looking for food. He poked his nose curiously into every crevice. Then, in a particularly deep crevice, he saw something extraordinary. A strange glowing stone. Using a long stick, he carefully pried it out and carried it back to his cave. Milo was amazed to see that the darker it got, the more brightly the stone glowed. And not only did it provide light, it gave off a comforting warmth. Happily, Milo curled up in the corner of his cave with his treasure, but he was not alone for long because the bright light soon attracted the other mice. Everyone wanted a stone of his own, and they asked Milo to show them where he found his. But just as they were about to set off, wise Balthazar stood up and spoke. "Don't forget," he said. The stones belong to the island. If you take something from the island, you must give something in return. We've got a happy ending and a sad ending. We're going to start with the sad ending first. Only Milo heeded Balthazar's warning. He immediately began thinking about what gift he could give to the island. But the other mice hurried off to find the glowing stones. They squeezed into the tunnel and started digging wildly, using sharp rocks. They chipped away at the walls of the tunnel. They tossed the smaller stones aside. They wanted only the biggest ones. Then the mice dragged the glowing stones into their caves. They grew greedy and jealous and spent much time worrying about who had the most stones, and they couldn't even enjoy the comfort of the stones that the stones brought them. Milo watched his friends sadly. He worried about what Balthazar had said and wondered what would happen. He sighed. There was nothing he could do but get back to work on the gift he had thought of to give to the island. Soon, the mice decided that they needed more of the magical stones. They crept back into the tunnel and they dug day and night, piling the magical stones in and around their caves until the whole island glowed. They boasted about their stones. They argued about who had the most, the biggest, and the brightest. The mice were consumed with greed, and as they dug deeper and deeper, the walls of the mountain got thinner and thinner. Before long, the mountain was hollowed out completely. Then suddenly, with a thunderous roar, the mountain collapsed. Giant boulders fell, burying the tunnels in a heap of rubble. Waves pounded against the shore, flooding most of the island. Only one cave was left inside. Milo and Balthazar crouched trembling in the corner. "The stones should have brought such happiness," said Balthazar quietly. As he spoke, Milo went back to work, carving a stone to give to the island in thanks for the magical gift. He still has his one stone. Okay, so that was the sad ending. Okay, here's the happy ending. Balthazar is right, said Milo, but what could Milo give to the island? He thought about it for many days until at last he had an idea. He went down to the shore where the sea washed up all kinds of stones and looked for one that was about the same size as the one he had taken. He sat down and started chipping away at the stone. Curious, the other mice gathered around Milo for hours until he had carved a beautiful sun into the stone. Then Milo led his friends to the hidden crevice in the mountain and put his carved stone in the place where he had found the glowing stone. That's a great idea, isn't it? The other mice began digging directly below the crevice. They found a tunnel that ran deep into the mountain. The further into the mountain they went, the more glowing stones they found. Each mouse took one and carefully carried it home. Each mouse took one. Then Milo, they found ordinary stones along the shore and started to decorate them. Some mice carved, etched, or drew on their stones. Others wrapped them or decorated them with flowers, leaves, and roots. They created beautiful works of art, then carried them deep into the mountain and placed their gifts where they had found the glowing stones. From then on, the windy winter weather did not bother the mice, who snuggled happily in their bright, warm caves. Often they got together and told stories, just like they did in the summertime. These gatherings made the long, cold nights seem shorter and winter less damp and dark. Every year, the mice celebrated the beginning of winter. They met in Balthazar's cave and danced and sang. And when it got dark, they took the magical stones on a parade along the cliffs and as a special tribute to their beloved island. So there's your two endings. The end of the happy story, the end of the sad story. I don't know about you, but I think I like the happy ending better. I hope you enjoyed the book. See you next time.